It's precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Danushka Madavela, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. University is now calling for interviews for the students who qualified for the university entrance in the 2022 GCE Advanced Level Examination. 2 special trains will be deployed between Colombo and Badulla with regard to the long weekend next week. The 85th batch of caregivers will leave to Israel on next Tuesday. Minister of Agriculture said that if farmers do not need fertilizer subsidy, those funds can be utilized to purchase paddy. Sri Lanka FM reiterates UN Summit of the Future must be closely aligned with 2030 agenda. In world news, MRI scans reveal new clues to long COVID symptoms. Now the local news in detail. University is now calling for interviews for the students who qualified for the university entrance in the 2022 GCE Advanced Level Examination. Relevant details can be obtained through respective universities. Some universities are holding eligibility tests these days in this regard. Guidebook for application for the university entrance has been released at present and it can be purchased through bookshops. It can also be downloaded through www.ugc.ac.lk website. University entrance applications can now be forwarded online. The Department of Railways have decided to deploy 2 special trains between Colombo and Badulla with regard to the long weekend next week. The train will be leaving at 8:30 a.m. on next Thursday and it will reach Badulla at 5:14 p.m. The other trains will leave Badulla at 5:20 p.m. on Saturday the 30th and reach the Colombo Fort railway station at 3:49 a.m. on Sunday. The 85th batch of caregivers will leave to Israel on next Tuesday. It includes 11 female caregivers. Minister Manushana Nayakkara handed over the relevant air tickets for the individuals recently. Up to now, more than 600 Sri Lankan females have left for Israel for the caregiver jobs. Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that if farmers say that they do not need financial assistance to purchase fertilizer, those funds can be utilized to purchase paddy. The government has set aside 12,000 million rupees for the fertilizer subsidy. The minister added that 15,000 rupees has been allocated per hectare and those funds will be credited to the bank accounts of the relevant farmers. If the farmers do not need these funds, all farm organizations should declare their opinion in this regard. But some other farm organizations still haven't voiced their opinion in this regard. The minister made these remarks while addressing a function held in Gannorwa Agrarian Research Institute yesterday. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, it has been stressed that the lack of awareness regarding the financial control is one of the main reasons for the poverty in this country. Chartered accountant Gayan Karunaratne said that there are many ways of investing funds. People should focus attention in this regard. He emphasized that the program should implement to increase the awareness regarding the investments. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board says that 12 hours water cut will be imposed on several areas in Colombo today. Accordingly, water supply will be interrupted in the areas of Colombo 11 to 15 from 6 p.m. today to 6 a.m. tomorrow due to an essential maintenance work. People in the area can get more information through telephone number 1939 in this regard. Health authorities point out that 12 people have died due to rabies this year. Health authorities say that only 4 incidents of dog bites were reported due to stray dogs and other fogs. 8 deaths out of 12 dog bites deaths were reported due to their own pet dogs. Some people do not visit hospitals after dog bites. Authorities emphasize that if any person experiences a dog bite, they must visit the nearest hospital and seek medical assistance. Foreign Affairs Minister Ali Sabri addressed the UN ministerial meeting of the Summit of the Future on Friday at UN headquarters in New York. Summit of the Future, scheduled for September 2024, is billed as once-in-a-generation opportunity to reinvigorate multilateralism, addressing gaps in global governance, and reaffirm existing commitments, including to the Sustainable Development Goals and the UN Charter. Agreeing that the Summit of the Future indeed would be the best forum to review and respond to enormously contemporary challenges, Minister Ali Sabri reiterated that the summit must be closely aligned with 2030 Agenda, the Addis Ababa Action Agenda, as well as the outcomes of the SDG Summit just concluded, as well as other multilateral platforms such as the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
Today is the second day of the Colombo International Book Fair at the Bandaranayake Memorial International Conference Hall. A large crowd gathered there yesterday to visit the exhibition. It will be held until the 1st of October from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. That was main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
In Watchlight, the Central Environmental Authority last week conducted a raid in Kandy, Peradeniya and several areas in the central province to crack down on those making lunch sheets of less than 20 microns. The raid was conducted by the authority area officials with the assistance of Consumer Protection Authority and police officials in the central province. Over 400 persons selling low-quality lunch sheets were questioned. Officials also found persons who are involved in manufacturing small polythene packets and cotton buds that have plastic handles. Central Environmental Authority Chairman Supun Patirage said such raids will also be carried out even in other areas in future with the assistance of the police. That came to you in Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
It's the power to live life your way. The power to be a trendsetter. Power to you with digital banking from Commercial Bank. Commercial Bank. Our interest is in you.
The headlines of the world news. MRI scans reveal new clues to long COVID symptoms. And incendiary rhetoric on Sheikh murder stalks debate in Canada diaspora. U.S. Senate chairman steps down amid bribery charges. Now the world news in detail. People living with long COVID after being admitted to hospital are more likely to show some damage to major organs, according to a new study. MRI scans revealed patients were 3 times more likely to have some abnormalities in multiple organs such as the lungs, brain and kidneys. Researchers believe there is a link with the severity of the illness. It is hoped that the UK study will help in the development of more effective treatments for long COVID. The study, published in Lancet Respiratory Medicine, looked at 259 patients who fell ill with the virus that they were admitted to hospital. 5 months after they were discharged, MRI scans of their major organs showed some significant differences when compared to a group of 52 people who had never had COVID. The biggest impact was seen on the lungs, where the scans were 14 times more likely to show abnormalities. MRI scans were also 3 times more likely to show some abnormalities in the brain and twice as likely in the kidneys among people who had severe COVID. A row between Canada and India over the murder of Sheikh separatists has stoked talk of political friction among some Sikhs and Hindus in the diaspora, though others say it's overblown. After Mr. Trudeau's public accusation on Monday that India may have been behind the killing of Sardeep Singh Nijjar on a Canadian soil, a clip surfaced on social media showing the head of a US-based Sikh separatist group calling for Hindu Canadians to return to India. A veteran U.S. Senator has temporarily stepped down as head of the chamber's powerful Foreign Relations Committee as he battles bribery charges. Justice Department prosecutors allege Robert Menendez and his wife accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars in exchange for aid to Egypt's government. The couple have denied the charges. The embattled senator has rejected calls from fellow Democrats back in his home state of New Jersey to resign his seat. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said on Friday that Mr. Menendez has decided to step down as chairman of the influential committee until the matter has been resolved. The New York Democrat said his colleague was a dedicated public servant and is always fighting hard for the people of New Jersey. That concludes the world news. Prior to concluding the headlines of the world news once again. MRI scans reveal new clues to long COVID symptoms. Incendiary rhetoric on Sikhs murder stalks debate in Canada diaspora. U.S. Senate chairman steps down amid bribery charges. That ends world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
This message is for all the kids between the ages of 4 and 16 who love to draw. Commercial Bank's Arunalu Sittam is back once again. This time, the competition is also open to Sri Lankan kids currently living abroad. First, second and third place prizes will be awarded along with special merit and merit certificates. For more information, visit the Commercial Bank website. We have so many prizes to be won.
Development News.
State Minister of Urban Development and Housing Arundhika Fernando emphasized the nation's commitment to bolstering its economy through the judicious utilization of mineral resources. He underscored the potential for creating high value-added products from these resources and stressed the importance of carrying out these activities with a steadfast commitment to safeguarding the country's land. State Minister Arundhika Fernando made these remarks during his participation in a press conference held yesterday at the Presidential Media Center under the theme Collective Path Towards a Stable Country. That was Development News. Moving on to sports news. In sports news, we have got football. Sweden and Spain players stood together in solidarity before the UEFA Women's Nations League meeting on Friday, following the scandal which has engulfed Spanish football. Both sets of players held a banner reading "Sikaba," which translates to English as "It's over," a phrase used on social media amid the scandal. The banner also read, "Our fight is the global fight," and the Spanish players were applauded onto the field for their warm-ups by the home fans in Gothenburg. That was sports news.
Go ekatiyana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka Institution of Taxation awarded chartered status. The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Sri Lanka Chairman Ralilabe Sundara presides over a press conference announcing the prestigious chartered status granted to the Sri Lanka Institution of Taxation. The event took place at the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Sri Lanka, marking a significant milestone in the institution's history. The new logo, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Sri Lanka, was also launched at the event. That was Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekatiyana youth ekat life eke change ekat niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu hina habe karanna youth ekat niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
In economic news, Kilinochchi District Coordinating Committee Chairman Mr. Douglas Devananda, Minister of Fisheries, has instructed the officials of the relevant departments to temporarily ban licensed sand dredging and sand loading activities in Kilinochchi District and to suspend the issuance of the sand dredging licenses until further notice. The Minister has given these instructions while attending a special discussion held at the Kilinochchi District Secretariat regarding the control of unauthorized sand mining. The Minister said a team consisting of government officials and police officers who were on an observation tour in the area of Iranamadu has informed him that the illegal sand mining in Kilinochchi, Iranamadu area has completely been stopped, and accordingly he has given instructions in this committee to completely stop the unauthorized sand mining in other areas as well. That came to you in Economic News.
Weather report.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. The Met Department says several spells of showers will occur in the western, Sabaragamu and northwestern provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the central, Uva and eastern provinces and in the Polonnaruwa district during the night. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. University is now calling for interviews for the students who qualified for the university entrance in the 2022 GCE Advanced Level Examination. 2 special trains will be deployed between Colombo and Badulla with regard to the long weekend next week. The 85th batch of caregivers will leave to Israel on Tuesday. Minister of Agriculture said that if farmers do not need fertilizer subsidy, those funds can be utilized to purchase paddy. Sri Lanka FM reiterates UN Summit of the Future must be closely aligned with 2030 agenda. With that, we conclude the news, and over to my friend and certainly yours, who's all geared up to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music. Over to you, Amanda.
Thank you so much. That was Sabrina Savahir bringing you the main news broadcast right here on Radio Sri Lanka.